All right. So let's talk about the Chappy rap.
Yeah, we heard you had a rap for us.
Oh, that's such a lie.
Oh, no, it's not.
No, I don't have a rap. Now, we do actually have, the Chaplain Corps does have a rap. It's called the Got Your Back rap.
Got your back rap?
Yes, got your back rap. So you got to be very careful how you pronounce that because it could come out wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't remember it.
Oh, dang.
And I forgot to refresh in my memory. But it's about the idea that Chaplain's got your back.
Okay.
Yeah, with a rap song in there.
Welcome back to GI and a Cup of Joe. Once again, I'm here with Annie T.
Just a regular girl, and I'm here with Justin C.
Just a regular guy.
In this podcast, we'd like to take off the rank and get right down to just being a regular person who made a random decision to wear a uniform in the Idaho Army National Guard. All of us come from very different backgrounds, but we do have one common goal: to better our future.
Not just to better our future for ourselves, but for our families and the ones we love. We encourage you to listen to each story and see how regular people with average grades, average attitudes, and common fears about their future find their strength and their ability to be resilient and to be able to accomplish extraordinary things.
Welcome to Season 2.
Okay, so today we're talking to officially Chaplain Colonel Rob Morris, but honestly he's just Rob or Chappy to
Chappy,
us.
yep, Robert Chappy, yep.
Okay, let's go back to high school.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
like 15 years ago, right? Where did you attend high school and what kind of student were you?
You know, I grew up in Southwest Washington, and I went to Kelso High School. I was a Highlander.
Hang on a second.
I didn't do it.
You went to Kelso High School.
Yeah.
Longview, Washington,
Yes.
Rainier High School.
Are you freaking kidding me?
I am.
We played you in football.
Yeah. We stomped the crap out of you.
I
A
broke
lot.
I broke into your high school and stole video equipment.
I broke into my high school.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You were actually in Rainier High School.
I was, yeah. I was in
my
Rainier High
gosh.
School. Senior year prank, we chained all the doors closed and then did Quikrete in front of the doors, right, for the senior prank so they couldn't open it on Monday. And then we went to the bus garage and we put our own chain on the bus garage. School canceled 2 days.
Oh,
So did you
man.
grow up in Rainier?
It did not. I moved over. I moved all over, but I landed in Rainier the end of my sophomore year, and that's where I graduated from.
My first reserve unit was in St. Helens,
Really?
right down the road from you.
It was reserves.
So after active duty, I went in the reserves.
I was also in the reserves, but I was in Vancouver, 396 Combat Support Hospital.
Oh my gosh. I don't even remember what unit that was.
So seriously, let's talk about high school. What kind of student were you?
Well, I was a very social student.
I believe that.
Yeah. I played a few sports, but I wasn't a real big kid. I think I may have weighed 125 pounds my senior year. So I did a lot of running sports because I ran from the bigger kids. I did a lot of cross country. And then so I wrestled all through grade school, junior high. And then my senior year of high school, so I was on the varsity, and this kid moved into town. Anyways, long story short, I got cut from the varsity squad as a senior. So I quit. I was really discouraged, actually, which plays into kind of my Army story. And I remember back in those days, we had school counselors that were pretty brutal. You know, they weren't, coddling type of counselors you see today. And I took all my school tests and all that stuff. And I remember meeting with the counselor, and they said, Morris, looking at your academics, I was really a bad student. And they said, your best option is probably the military, preferably the Marines. Now, if you know anything about the military, the Marines are usually the dumbest of the four branches, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I couldn't spell Marine, but I could spell Army, right? So I went to the Army recruiters. A buddy of mine, we joined in a cohort unit. So I was really a bad student, but I was athletic. I grew up in Southwest Washington, so we were a lot of hunting and fishing. So I was very outdoorsy, loved the Boy Scouts. And so when I went to talk to my recruiter, he's like, well, tell me about yourself. So, well, I wrestled, I'm a runner. I like to hunt and fish. He goes, oh, I got the perfect MOS for you. And he says, also, this MOS comes with a bonus and some college money. And so I was really excited about the bonus. So I signed up for 11 Bravo infantry.
Best of the best of the best.
Yeah, and he really convinced me. Goes, hey, this would be perfect for you. You'll be great at it. So we got on a plane and we flew to Fort Benning, Georgia. And I will never forget my first. We didn't even have a reception station. We went straight to Harmony Church. These were World War II barracks. This is 1984, right? We had World War II barracks that were full of cockroaches.
Oh my gosh!
But when we got there, we're all in a school bus. So when this drill sergeant steps onto the bus, the first step of the bus actually leans right towards his side of the bus. And I'm 120 pounds maybe, and I got 2 duffel bags full of gear, right? Where everybody does. And he's got his drill sergeant hat on, and he's built like a horseshoe, just chiseled. Like there's not an ounce of fat. He's probably 6'4",
oh my gosh,
230 pounds. I mean, he's a Vietnam War veteran. He's got all these badges, Ranger tab. And he steps on the bus, and he looks at us, and he says some things I can't say here to us. And says, oh, by the way, you got 3 seconds to get off my bus, and I just used 2 of them. And kids are just piling out the windows, like just as quick as possible. And I'm trampled. I mean, I'm 120 pounds. I get thrown on the floor. I got my duffel bags on top of me. And I thought, this is the end of my life. And I started crying. I was crying for my mother, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. I've made a mistake. And just about then, I felt this hand grab the back of my neck. And I'm like, this is it. Jesus, here I come. And to which he picks me up and he helps me out the window. And then my 2 duffel bags come out after that window. And I just thought to myself, I either have to become a man like instantly, or I don't know what's going to happen to me. Like I could seriously wind up completely broken. So I had to make an instant decision in my life. And I remember going back to wrestling. And when I got beat out my senior year, I remember I kind of went through some dark days, some depression. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to end up that way. I've got to fight through this, and I'm going to make a difference, and I'm going to become a good soldier. So at that moment, I said, I turned on the switch. I said, I'm going to do this. No more crying. So I didn't cry again throughout all of basic training, and I really focused, and I actually became a really good trainee. They called me Mercury Morris because our first diagnostic PT test, obviously I don't look like this. I mean, now I don't look like I did back then, but I ran a sub-11 2-mile run, and I had a drill sergeant who was an ex-Marine, and he was a runner, and he said, okay, Morris, you and I, it's a competition. At the end of this training rotation, if you can beat me, you're going to be an honor grad for our company. So that was my goal. And I didn't beat him. However, when I graduated from basic training, I had accumulated. So back in those days, we kept scores on all of our qualifications. Every weapon system that we fired, every, what do you call those? Not the battle drills, but the soldier skills, right?
Yep.
What was that? Task level 1.
Yep.
Soldier skills, yeah. And so I got expert on the M16. I shot 30 out of 40. We had the M60, which is a 7.62 round, and I shot expert with that. I had the M203, which is a grenade launcher, and I shot expert with that. So anyways, the point is, I had the highest equivalent score, even though I didn't get honor grad for my class. I was awarded, I got 2 awards, and I got a plaque. I remember I carried that plaque with me everywhere, but I was the best soldier as far as qualifying with any weapon system that they introduced us to during basic training, to include the Claymore mine, which actually tells you which side of the mine to point towards the enemy.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, this can't be that hard, So it was really a growing experience for me. Basic training became life-changing for me because I went from a kid who had no idea what I wanted to do, where I wanted to be. I really didn't feel like I belonged anywhere in the world. I just had this very unique skill set that Uncle Sam finally figured out, hey, you got a great skill set that'll work perfectly in this area. But that's when I realized how much the military in just 1 year had changed my life. I mean, I was a wandering lost soul really through high school. I had some issues going on in my family. My dad and I really weren't connecting. I had some issues there with him, and so I just really didn't have a sense of like really community or really a purpose in my life. And Uncle Sam grabbed me, threw me into basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia, and lo and behold, at least in my eyes, I became a 123-pound fighting machine for the United States Army. The Army taught me how to have some skills, have some confidence, have some vision for myself, and I was confident that I could go to college and I could figure this out. And oh, by the way, in that last few months, I meet this girl, right, back home. So I flew home for leave.
Washington girl?
She was. She's a Castle Rock, the Rockets.
They'll get you.
Yeah, they will. And but she was a preacher's kid, right? Her dad was a preacher, so I'm like, I went on a blind date with her. So
Did you find God to get the girl?
I found Jesus in the closet, right? Jesus hid in the closet. I found him. I said, I want this girl, right? So, anyways, that last 6 months, about 6 months before my end of tour that I started chasing this girl, and she was heading off to college. And I thought, man, I really want this girl. I want to date this girl, right? So I decided I have to go to college, and that was kind of really what happened. Is the combination of, realizing I could do more than just the Army, and also this girl was really attractive, and she was, kind of into me, And she told me later it was really the uniform that kind of got her excited when she found I was in the military. So I get out. I chase her to college. She's a sophomore. I'm a freshman. First year of private school, I flunk out. I went back to Rob Morris, the high school student. I've been institutionalized for 4 years with the Army, right? They ran my life. Right. And so when I got to college, there's like no structure for me. I'm like, well, what happens if I don't go to class? They don't even take attendance, So I just really reverted very quickly. And I got put on academic probation. And they said, look, maybe you aren't as smart as you think you are. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what'd I do? And I remember looking out the window. I'm in the counselor's office, and I look out the window, and I see this parade field. And guess who's on the parade field?
ROTC.
ROTC.
There it is.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, maybe they can save me. So I tell the counselor, I said, well, what if I join like ROTC? Would you give me another semester to, prove myself? So I joined ROTC. And the cool thing about ROTC is that it was like a 3 or 4 credit class for that semester. Like, I'm going to get an A in there because we did we did all these basic skills, and I'm like, this is no brainer for me, right? So I skated through ROTC. And my GI Bill was kicking in, and it was a little expensive in a private school. And making a long story short, I wound up graduating from Central Washington University in Ellensburg with a law and justice degree because I really wanted to be a DEA agent, right, in South America. I really liked South America. And that was my goal. And I did not take a commission out of college. So I said, no, I need a little break from the military. At this point, 6 of my 8 years was tied up with the military because I was in the reserves during college. And so I take about a 2-year break. I graduate. I get applied to the DEA. They accept me. I'm about ready to get on a plane, fly to Florida, where I'm going to go through some training. Then I'm going to go to South America and do this crazy mission they had down there for us. They really liked my infantry background, right? Mm-hmm. So it opened some great doors. And I decided to propose to my girlfriend, Cindy, Castle Rock, Rocket. Yep. And she said, yeah, I'll marry you under one condition. I said, what's that? She says, no DEA. I'm like, what? That's my dream, right? So I gave up that dream, and I became a parole officer. And when I was a parole officer, I moved to Idaho. And this is how my Idaho chapter began. And so in 1996, I raised my hand and I entered the Idaho National Guard because the idea of becoming an officer was very intriguing to me. And I thought to myself, look, I've graduated, I've overcome a lot of stuff, and I really felt like it would be a cool way to kind of wrap out my career, to prove to myself again that I wasn't what I originally thought who I was.
So 34 years you've been married.
I've been married for 34 years, yes.
Okay, so let's give us a piece of advice. Give us your advice for a happy and healthy marriage.
Lower your expectations. Yeah, that's what I told my wife. So whatever your expectations were from me, reduce them by 50%, and I can meet that. That's my standard, right?
Pretty good advice.
Yeah, lower your expectations. I would tell you, I think, we do marriage conferences all over. And that's one of the things that's cool about the National Guard is the amount of resources you have available to you. But if there are folks out there that are thinking about getting married, here's the thing I would say to you. Marriage, don't go into marriage thinking this person's going to make you a happy person, right? Because marriage really, it's like boot camp. It's training you how to have good relationships. So it's a lot of work. And so I would say really the most important thing is investing in your marriage as a process of growing individually, right? And not putting the ownership on your spouse to make you happy or put you in a place where you think that the marriage is beneficial. You have to bring that into yourself. So is that answering your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
absolutely it is.
That's amazing advice.
Yeah. I'm an amazing person.
You are.
Clearly.
At least in my own mind. So
what about advice to high school students who are stressed about their future? What advice would you give to them?
Oh my gosh, I think putting yourself in an environment that's structured when you're not really sure, stress does a lot to your physical body, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things the military teaches you is how to manage that stress and how to actually, kind of understand how it addresses or affects you physically. But the military demands a lot of you physically. So I would say, if you're a kid and you're in high school, you get kind of stressed, graduation, you really have no idea what you want to do, you really need to look at the military because it has an opportunity to put you in a mindset that allow you to not only just control your stress, but realize that you can use stress to motivate you, right? And then you turn your stress into motivation, right? Some effort, some diligence, some perseverance. What's the word? Resiliency.
Resiliency.
And you can, you'll achieve a lot more than what you think you're capable of achieving. That's what I would say.
That's all advice.
Yeah,
Like that.
I like that. All right, so most important question.
Okay.
I know you're a hunter, big time hunter, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about some serious hunting stuff. All right.
Okay.
Is Sasquatch real?
Well, he was real. I shot him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's no longer. Well, I guess Sasquatch is real, and I've killed several Sasquatch. At least I thought they were Sasquatch. I wound up realizing they were just black bear, according to the Idaho Fish and Game. So I had to tag them. But to me, I thought they were real. So yes, I would say absolutely there is a Sasquatch out there, and I will eventually find him.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. We'd like to thank our guests and our production crew for their time.
Join us every Wednesday here on GI and a Cup of Joe. See you next week.